Hello, welcome to another of my 3-minute Lightroom edit challenges. I'm Ian Butterfield. Welcome to Ian's Studio. In a recent live stream, I was given an image by Andi C to edit in 3 minutes in Lightroom. Not only that, but I challenged fellow photographer Rick Bradbury to do the same. After we had both done our edits, we provided Andy with some feedback on his image. I hope you enjoy the video. Hello, welcome to another 3-minute Lightroom edit challenge. In this challenge, I've got an image from Andi C, who's provided the shot you can see over my shoulder, which is obviously a stage one. So let me start the clock going. I now have 3 minutes. Let's go over to the develop module and see what we can do. Right, in the basic module to start with, let's think. It's a stage production, so I'm going to set the white balance to tungsten on there, which is generally what stage lights would be. It looks a little bit on the blue side, so I'm just going to warm that up a little bit. We've got blown out on the light, so let's take that down. Put some lens corrections in, and I'm just going to go full screen so you can see a little bit better. We'll put the standard in there. Right, I think we probably need a little bit of clarity in this, give it a bit of bite on there. The blacks are looking a little bit muddy on it, so I'm just going to bring that down a fraction. I don't want to go too far with that. I'm also going to just bring the exposure up a little bit, not too much. Perhaps contrast will make it, that's starting to look a little bit more stagey for my liking. The colours on it, what happens if I do the vibrance? I still don't like it looking that blue. I think just bringing it up a little bit is better for it. Shadows, maybe a little bit on the shadows. Right, looking at the crop on it, I'm not that keen on the pot down there. I'm over halfway through on this. So let's get rid of the beer, bring that in, take the padlock off, bring that down a section. Can't lose that all the way, but if I go to there, I think that works. Want to keep the drummer in and the bass guitar, I'm not quite sure, the guitarist in the shot. So we'll go with that as the crop. Can I get rid of that in time? I've got 50 seconds. I'm not sure I can, so I'm going to leave that as it is. That haze, it's looking a bit hazy. Bring that in, exposure up just a fraction on there, and I think a bit more, it's got a little bit of green tint to it now. I'm going to go a bit more on the magenta, just a fraction, and I would say possibly just, have I got time just to put a little bit of a vignette in there, darken it down on there, and to feather that. 16 seconds left on the clock, and I think bring the shadows up just a fraction more, and I will go with that as my edit on there. And the clock has just run out. I can stop the thing. Yes. So that's my edit on this particular image. Thanks for submitting it, Andy. Really like it. And I will discuss this back in the studio and talk about it during the live feed. See you then.
Okay. And here we are. This is going to be my 3-minute Lightroom edit challenge for Ian's live stream show. My name is Rick Bradbury. I'm normally with Ian as a co-host. However, given the current situation that we're in, I can't join him for this stream, unfortunately. So Ian sent me the raw file, which I believe was sent in by Andy. This is not the raw file, by the way. This is just a holding image. And we'll be taking a look at that shortly. So if I bring up my stopwatch, or counter, stopper, timer, whatever. And we will get going in a moment. You'll be able to hear the timer when it goes off, when my 3 minutes is up, and I will start it as I switch over to the image. Before I do that, anybody missing shooting? I definitely am. I want to be back in the studio shooting. Look at my bald head. Wow. Right, anyway. So what we will do in the develop module, we will hit start now, and we will switch to Andy's image. Right, thank you very much, Andy, for sending this in, and let's take a look. It's Adobe standard because Adobe Color is a horrible profile. That's fine. ISO 1600, 34mm, 2.8, 250 per second. Good settings to stop any movement or action. And let's take a look. Plenty sharp enough. Is he crying? What is that? Anyway, makeup. So I'm going to lift exposure a little bit on this and warm the white balance up a bit. I suspect it may have been shot on auto white balance, so we'll just warm up the tones in the image there. A little bit of contrast. Do that via the curves. Not going to do a whole lot to this in this amount of time. Bring the blacks down because I do want to see some level of blacks in some areas. A little bit more contrast. Bring the shadows down, whites up. I don't mind the bright lights in the background. It's a stage. We can see them in the background. That's fine. Framing wise, I'm going to leave it because it tells the story of what's going on. He's in a band. He's played live. You know, some people might be tempted to start to crop out this extraneous information. I think it fits. I don't mind that you've included the flare. So we shall keep that in. Now, let's see what else we're going to do. I'm going to give it a little bit of noise reduction, just a touch. It doesn't really need a lot. Cameras these days are fine at 1600. Besides, nobody looks at an image this close in. So there we go. Let's take that noise reduction down. And then we'll do a little bit of sharpening. Let's see. So it sharpens the key elements. So pressing hold using the mask. And a little bit of detail, and there we go there, and we will give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of clarity as well. Dehaze, I might pump a little bit in there just to deal with some of the flare. We'll lose contrast in the flare elements, and we'll go up a little bit more on the contrast there. I think that is pretty much it. It's a good action shot. You've not got someone swallowing a microphone. He's moved away from the microphone and maybe dancing or what have you. Sharpness wise, focus wise is fine. And it shows what's going on. He's a little bit off close to the edge, but you're shooting vertical rather than horizontal. And I've got no idea what was on the other sides of the frame there. So that is pretty much it. It's just tone, colour and contrast. Straightforward, really. Thank you, Andy. And there's my timer. Boom. Let's stop that. Just to go over a couple of additional things. I'm not going to touch the image any further in terms of the edit. That was done well within the 3 minutes. Pat on the back for me. Right. Colour-wise, I'm happy with it. You're probably dealing with mixed lighting in a scenario like this anyway, so as long as you can get it pretty close off the bat, off the ball, then you're good to go. Auto white balance will probably be fooled by a lot of things that happen on stage, backlights, different coloured lights, if these or any additional lights cycle through the colours, so that's to be expected. We've got good blacks, good whites. What is that in the background? Is that a teddy? Anyway, is that a big foot? It is, it's a teddy. Okay, fair enough. Right. So, great action shot. I actually like that you've shot wide on this 34mm, which is near my very favourite focal length. 35mm. One thing I've not looked at is what you've shot this on. 24-70 Sigma. And I don't know what camera it was on. Will it tell me? A D750, so it's full frame. Thought it would be. At that point, I mean, wouldn't really worry about high ISO on that camera at all. Cracking shot. Is that the name of the band, Narrow Margin? I may have to look them up. Nicely done. Live music is not something I've had much experience with, or stage work myself, but looking at how it's been shot technically is fine. Framing wise, okay, yes, I'm editing the image now, but this is just outside of it. For what I talked about while I was editing it, if we do start to end up cropping in, then it gets kind of a little weird if we just turn the lights out in Lightroom to where he's just cut off and it's like, well, kind of by accident it looks like. So I would rather leave it showing more of him, and I don't actually, click done on that, I don't actually mind the negative space up here. This could be used for promo shots for social media, for example. So I don't know whether you were thinking along the lines of that, but it can certainly be used in that regards anyway. So well done. Like I say, sorry I can't be there, folks. Well done, Andy, for sending this in. Great shot. Definitely going to lock the band up. Any comments, let me know. Bounce me an email, drop a comment on Ian's live stream. I'm sure I won't take too much of your time up, but thank you very much, Ian, for letting me record this, and I shall pass it back to your good self. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
And yeah, back in the studio with well, it's my edit that's on the screen behind me, or on the screen here for me. For this one, Andy didn't provide me with a version with his edit, so we've only got mine on the screen and Rick's on the video as to what the final image looks like. So a couple of thoughts about this. Now, as probably most of you know, I do a fair bit of theatre work. I don't do much with gigs and bands. And that, whilst there's a lot of similarities, there's an awful lot of differences between the two. A couple of the similarities between those sort of techniques and things that I do like on this image is I like the inclusion of the stage lights on there. There's a temptation to keep those out of the shot, particularly when they're going to get blown out. The fact that you've put them in there, Andy, I really like. It really sets it off. There's enough smoke there so you can see the streams of light from it on that work, and that works. You've kept the shutter speed high on there so that it's frozen the action with that. The one thing that the couple of things I don't like. One I mentioned in my edit, and that is the pint of beer down at the bottom here, which I've tried to crop out. Now I know Rick quite like that, but I don't. On there. The other thing to watch, and this is true particularly of theatre rather than, I'm thinking theatre rather than gigs, but I think the same thing applies, is to watch expression. So if I zoom in on this, he's sticking his tongue out. And there's always a danger when you're photographing someone who's performing that you'll catch them in mid-speech, mid-gurn and things like that. And there are a couple of techniques that I use with theatre photography which might work for gig work as well. And that is, don't try and photograph as they're speaking or singing. If there's a point where they're just going into the instrumental, try and do it at that point. Or try and get it during those little pauses between the phrases so that you've not got your person gurning. Now, whether that works with the tongue sticking out as an action shot or not is debatable on there. I would guess that the guitarist probably wouldn't be very flattered and that he might not like it. And if you're doing these shots for the band themselves and you end up with a shot of him going with his tongue stuck out, he's not likely to use it as a promo or something like that. So just watch those sorts of things. Again, it's very difficult. I don't know what sort of space you had available to you, but the other thing to watch here is the cable that's running down through the face of the other guitarist. And if you had the space to move, a couple of paces to your left would allow you to get that clean shot of him on there. So that would be something else I would suggest. Setting wise, I can see you've been working you've spot metered and you're in manual mode, which is a great way to do it if the light isn't changing. Now, I don't know what the lighting was like for the rest of that gig, but if your lights are going from bright to dark to bright to mid and different colours, spot metering might be a bit of a problem. If the brightnesses are changing, you've got to wait for the same light to come back. If they're constant, it's an absolutely fantastic way to do it. You get that metering point on the face, and away you go. So a good way of doing it on there. I think those are the main things I would say about it. It's a very atmospheric shot. I really like it. Well done, and thank you for submitting it to me. I appreciate the chance to do the edit on there and provide a bit of feedback. If anybody else wants to be part of our 3-minute challenge, then get in touch, and I'll send you the instructions on how to submit some images for it, or an image for it. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Up here is a playlist of other videos similar to this one. Here is a video I think you will like, whereas over here is one that YouTube thinks you'll like. Until next time, keep making great photos. Bye for now.